Hi everyone, welcome to D&D News. How goes it? I always like getting right up in your face and saying good morning. Wait, no, good afternoon. It is a wonderful day in Dungeons and Dragons land, otherwise known as Seattle, Washington area. Lots of fun people here. I just saw Dan Dillon here in the D&D office, which has been awesome. New D&D designer. Coming on board, which is always great. Welcome, Dan. Say hi to him. I gotta make sure he gets a mug before he leaves. How are you all doing? Doghouse Gaming Northwest. Hi, local Seattleite. What's going on? Good to see you, Kika. Hi, Kika. Good to see you. You're gonna be on for Dice Camera Action. Episode 135 will begin in just about 55 minutes, which is super exciting. It is with Dungeon Master Holly Conrad and the Chicken Foot Coven, which is Kika Della Rose, Cameron Powell, and Brian Obenchain. If you remember correctly, they were formed and forged together as the Chicken Foot Coven a few months ago. Gosh, was that a month ago or was that years ago? I don't know. Time keeps on slipping into the future, as they say, but it's amazing. Hi, Mixtown from Kansas. How's it going? Good to see GWJ Nikias from Portland. Good to have you here. I like all of the areas that people are coming out and saying where they're from. Hi. Especially Chairman Mark, who says he's from Dragonflight. Hello. Welcome from Dragonflight. It is a very fun day today because I get to talk about all the fun stuff that's happening for Dungeons and Dragons and tell you all about upcoming products as well as products that are already out, as well as maybe open up some miniatures. I got a Dnd Rewind this week to show you, which is great. The editor, Steve Sprinkles, got it in, and we're very excited to show it off again. We missed last week, and we made sure that we had it going on, so I can't wait to show you guys that. We're probably going to do that around 3:30. And then we got some Adventurers League news we're going to talk about, not to mention all of the things that are happening on the Dungeon Masters Guild. Yeah, I don't know, maybe I'll show off some other fun stuff. Here's a quick preview. What are those things? I like that I was watching myself over there. Made it all strange. Yeah, I got lots of I got toys to show is what I'm basically trying to say. Oh, and everybody's popping off of where they're from. Hi, from Houston, Little Rhode Island, the great DM. My brother is actually in the great state of Rhode Island right now. Yesterday, he celebrated his 50th birthday. And I wish I was there to represent in Rhode Island. But alas and alack, I was not. But I'm glad you are here, as well as Ontario, Canada. What's up, Kaya Jenks? Midwest represent with Majesty C2K1. Kitka, the musical gamer from Griffin, Georgia. Welcome, welcome. We got, I feel like this turned into a episode of Romper Room where I'm just saying random names of places and there's people in the chat who happen to be from those places. Welcome, Sandra. Welcome, Erin. Welcome, Mortimer. Welcome, Connecticut. Oh, yeah. What's up, Andy Sarth from Connecticut? That's my home state. Welcome to D&D News. I grew up in Connecticut. I lived there for 22 years, all through high school and college. And so it has a warm place in my heart for that. Big UConn Huskies fan, although the men's team not doing quite so well and are not in the tournament, but I am following those women and making sure they, yeah, go Whalers. Hartford, the Whale. Funny story about the Whale. I never really was a big hockey fan or knew anything about the Hartford Whalers, but they left, and Connecticut was very upset when the only professional sports team of the Big Four sports left the state, and the franchise moved, and I didn't really think too much of where they moved to or changing of their names. And then I moved to North Carolina and realized that the Hurricanes, and I'm just going to hold this here until I take a sip. The Hurricanes are the same exact franchise as the Hartford Whalers, and then they end up winning a Stanley Cup type thing. I don't know. Talking sports with D&D fans, not always the best clue, but I'm one of those people that straddles the line, and I'm very excited for the opening day of baseball. The Boston Red Sox are actually going to be here in Seattle, playing the Seattle Mariners on the opening day. It is going to be very chilly and cold, otherwise I would definitely be at CenturyLink Field in order... No. Safeco Field, but I don't think it's called Safeco Field anymore. But anyway... It's gonna, yeah, I'm excited for the baseball season to start, even though it is going to be pretty, what shall we say, chilly in a March game. T-Mobile Park is what Doghouse Gaming says, and I believe them, because when you have a name like Doghouse Gaming Northwest, that's a name to be trusted. Thank you for that. Right, everybody is good and glad, and I'm going to go through some of the fun stuff that's been happening in the news. So the most recent product has been released from Dungeons & Dragons. Oh, I should have brought that. Maybe I will next week, but I do have an actual physical copy of this thing, this product called Tactical Maps Reincarnated. It has a whole bunch of maps that are 2D printed on full color poster maps in a nice folio, and they are rich and full of amazing stuff. So I would love for you guys to check it out, and it dovetails with the product that I highlighted last week from the Dungeon Masters Guild that gave you a whole bunch of encounters that you can use with those tactical maps, and I think that's a great combo deal. So if you see Tactical Maps Reincarnated in your local game store, pick it up, and then pick up the Dungeon Masters Guild product that has all the encounters on there. And if you don't know what I'm talking about or need a link to that, go to watch the previous D&D news from last week, all about it. I feel like I need to have this happening. Speaking of sports balls, when people go like, you. Dungeons & Dragons, but you can't really see my Dungeons & Dragons wear if I'm not doing that. Got a whole bunch of people popping in here. Mad Hat Man 66 saying Critical Role versus D&D staff in a softball game. That's on. That's on. I'm going to be like Kramer in Seinfeld and bowl over one of the Critical Role staff like he bowls over Bette Midler. I think it's going to be fun. So, what else can I tell you about? Well, let's get into some of the fun news, shall we? One thing that is always great is when Game Informer magazine talks about board games, and they did with this right here. Top of the table, amazing campaign board games. The designers, oh, thank you. The designers do an amazing job of crafting some awesome surprises over the course of the campaign, even down to secrets hidden away within the physical box of the game. That's right. There's things hidden all throughout Betrayal Legacy that I don't think everyone has really kind of discovered yet. And I think it's pretty awesome. We played through the 4th chapter in Betrayal Legacy. We finally got through it all. My character and my house received the deed to the mansion for the first time. I defeated the betrayer, the traitor, as this turned out, not the betrayer. It's called the betrayer. So it's tons of fun, and so there's more stuff for us to explore and find out, and I hope you can too. And I love that Game Informer put that up on the amazing camping board games, which I think is a tons of fun. Fun list for sure. Here's something that's really interesting: the Frisky, which is a women's lifestyle publication, which is not one that you think would highlight Baldur's Gate or Dungeons & Dragons very often, but they did, and it's pretty exciting. Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2, Shadows of Am, was the mobile RPG games you should be playing in 2019. Baldur's Gate reinvented the genre. This game is a must for your mobile, if only to pay homage to the franchise that saved the genre in the digital space. Can't agree more with that take. That is a hot take from 1998 right there. Yeah, and as Tanya Cipher of Tears says in there, of course they all like D&D, but that's why I like highlighting everything about the press that's coming out about Dungeons and Dragons, is because, you know, when I was a kid growing up, we didn't see it in those publications, and I'm really excited that the recommendations from publications like The Frisky is everywhere, and I'm all on board for it. So yes, everyone should be playing the mobile version of Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2 if you can. It is great. One other fun thing I wanted to highlight too was a review of Dungeons & Dragons A Darkened Wish, #1, kicking off an entire adventure series. I talked about this the last few days, and it's awesome. We are treated to a siege scene with pretty high stakes, and the invasion is full of all sorts of cool-looking brigands. That comes from Bleeding Cool, and that is a really great review. Have you guys been able to check out A Darkened Wish at all? I got my copy right here. This is actually the copy that I brought with me to LA. You can tell because the corners are janked a little bit since I just stuffed this into my bag. But it is a fantastic comic book. First issue is great artwork by Tess Fowler that just can't be beat. I love how the forming of the Dungeons and Dragons group is treated, as well as and you know, we see the siege scene as they're referring to. This is those same characters as they are more older and adults and able to wield amazing magics and powers as high-level Dungeons & Dragons characters are wont to do. So it's a great conceit. I really like going back and forth between younger D&D heroes and more mature D&D heroes, and I can't wait to see where the story ends up. And it sounds like folks in the comic book industry are thinking the same thing. So check it out if you can. It's good stuff. Again, the artwork is by Tess Fowler, and the words were all done by B. Dave Walters, a friend of Dungeons & Dragons. He's been on stream of Many Eyes, as well as lots of other fun stuff that we have got planned, and I can't wait to tell you about. Cool. Check it out if you can. And then I wanted to point this out because Stranger Things 3 is coming soon. I believe it was announced for July 4th-ish. Yeah, so IGN wrote this thinking about what is the Stranger Things monster in season 3. This new beast stands apart from the rest, and IGN's resident D&D nerd Nick Limon or Lyman pegs it as what could be a Tarrasque. What do you guys think is going to be in the new Stranger Things season coming in July? Will it be a Tarrasque? I don't know. It could be. It could also be a gibbering mouther, which is the other theory that Nick posits in that article. But check it out for yourself. Let me know. And I really do hope the Tarrasque is carried by a balloon, as Oboe Crazy says. Good, fun stuff all around. Here's a fun thing. Oh, do I have an image for it? Maybe I do. Maybe I do. Yes, I do. Yeah, so did you guys see this? I got a kick out of it. Thankfully, Kevin Sheehan wrote this up in an article form so you can check it out. But Tom Morello. Do you know who Tom Morello is? Anybody know who Tom Morello is? He is a musician who was a part of a seminal band in the 90s called Rage Against the Machine. And he posted this on Twitter very recently about playing Dungeons & Dragons as a DM with his family. And Gavin Sheehan wrote it up on Bleeding Cool, which I just think is great. Makes me laugh and shed a little tear inside for all of that. It is amazing to have someone who you've known for a long time in a completely different sphere participate in the hobby that you love and adore so much. And so welcome, if you haven't already been a big fan and player of Dungeons & Dragons, welcome, Tom Morello. And I hope to work with you going forward. It's pretty fun stuff. And as a high score kid says, he is teenage nostalgia, and I agree with that. That is very, very true. I'm seeing lots of good jokes in there. Rage of Demons Against the Machine is a good one. I believe I said from the D&D main account that the Barbarian was raging against the Modrons, which I think is just close enough and gets another D&D reference in there pretty well. So good. Well, you know, let the jokes flow is basically what I'm trying to tell you. You're all doing good things. Did Widsith Atopos in the chat here just do probably the coolest music fan thing ever, where you're like, well, I saw them open for Coffin Break. I don't know what Coffin Break is. Is that another hardcore band? Probably is. And you saw them in Seattle in '92. Kudos to you, sir. You knew them before they raged or before they were cool. I feel like they did a Lollapalooza or something like that maybe I went to, or my friend went to, and I think I stole his concert t-shirt, and so I had Rage Against the Machine at Lollapalooza, I want to say 93? Am I making that up? I don't know. Could be. But not as cool as 92, obviously. And he's still touring around here. And I'm going to say I really enjoy Sakamatana 5's Mildly Annoyed at the Machine, because that, you know, that channels me quite well. Here's a little fun thing that I wanted to just make sure and throw out there for you guys from the Monroe News, which is a smaller publication, but this column is written by the pictured person here, Rebecca Regnier, and she posits that Dungeons & Dragons is a game for thinkers, which I think is really cool. She reflects in her column about the resurgence in popularity of Dungeons & Dragons and what that might mean, and I think that's awesome. She goes on to describe how she was, married an old fan of Dungeons & Dragons and was introduced to it and has never looked back, and I think that's fantastic. So, again, more people around the world talking about their love of Dungeons & Dragons and what it can do for improving your life. And I have to say it proves true for me all the time. And then there's one last little bit of fun that I want to show for you that was in the news. This is a student from Georgia Southern University created an MFA thesis that was all inspired by Dungeons & Dragons, and it'll be on display at the University Gallery, which is super neat. The exhibit is titled Neo, Fluxus, and Dragons, and it's an interactive experience for the viewers. It begins in the Contemporary Gallery of Art and then ends up in the middle of the gallery with a pedestal, a notebook, and a bowl full of 20-sided dice and a list of rules. And so it's a little bit of a gaming experience, too, as part of his art installation to get a master's in art. And he said, the artist says, I call this experience the journey, as the viewer gets to interact with the space I have practically lived in for the past 8 years. A final notebook will rest on a final pedestal in my studio. This will instruct viewers to place their dice within the studio space, physically informing the installation and allowing the viewer to add to my art. The art, in this sense, is about the experience of experiencing art. And that's pretty crazy. I mean, that's essentially what playing Dungeons & Dragons is about. You are experiencing what those have put down in the artwork or in the creation of the adventure or in the head of the dungeon master and experiencing it. And through that combined communication, you all come out with a different product than what was put into it. And that's pretty amazing to see that happen around tables all over the world. Fun stuff. Check out that artwork. There's definitely more in there about the artist and what he was intending. Yeah, again, wanted to shout out folks making cool stuff. One thing I want to make sure everyone knows about, PAX East is coming up this weekend. There's lots of amazing stuff happening in the Dungeons & Dragons community at PAX East in Boston. I unfortunately will not be there. I wanted to make it out to Boston. It is one of my, what would you say, favorite areas of the world. I have been to Boston many times when I was a kid growing up in Connecticut. It was the one I went to more than New York, honestly, for seeing Red Sox games and things like that. So I'm sad I won't be able to be there. But if you are in that area, you totally should. There is a lot of Adventurers League gaming happening all weekend long. Tons of modules, including Remnant of a Dream, Casks and Caskets, Matter of Life and Death, The Map with No Names, Beneath the City of the Dead, and Dock Ward Double Cross. There's also Lords of Waterdeep play in an elimination rounds on Friday. And there's going to be lots of Dungeons & Dragons live streamed games happening that whole time. Dice Camera Action will be streamed live on Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, not Pacific Time. We'll be hosting that here on the D&D channel. But you can check it out, and Kate Welch will be stepping in as Dungeon Master for the Dice Camera Action crew, which should be really exciting. On Friday, there is Acquisitions Incorporated, Dungeon Mastered by Jeremy Crawford. There is also Up, Up, Down, Down, our friends at WWE, including WWE superstars Xavier Woods, Ember Moon, Tyler Breeze, and NXT superstar Brennan Williams. We'll be playing Dungeons & Dragons in front of a live audience for the first time. That's on Saturday at 2 p.m. And then the Acquisitions Incorporated C Team will be playing live on Sunday at 1 p.m. There is a panel for a whole bunch of fun stuff, but one I really want to highlight is on Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific Time. You can find out about the Penny Arcade Acquisitions Incorporated D&D manual. There's a panel all about that Thursday, 2 p.m. Pacific Time. Kate Welch is moderating that, and you'll hear from Jerry Holkins, Mike Rahulik, and producer Alyssa Grant. So stay tuned for finding out more about that. And I want to make sure to highlight, before I go too much farther, because there is a lot of panels that I wanted to make sure everyone knew about. This is happening. Roll for Initiative. Rivals of Waterdeep will be having their Season 3 finale live from Pax East, Saturday, March 30th, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, we will be hosting that here on the D&D channel, which, if you can do the quick math, is 6:30 p.m. Pacific Time on Saturday. Watch them. They're amazing. Dungeon Master Sharif Jackson has done a fantastic job with this season, and I can't wait to see who might step into the Dungeon Master's chair if we are ever to do a Season 4. It's going to be pretty exciting, and I can't wait for more of the storyline, as well as this wonderful group of friends that I've seen, coalesce over the course of the last year. So exciting stuff. Can't wait, and you should all be watching. 6:30 Pacific. Yes. And how about that artwork too? I want to give credit to the artist real quick, but I really love this artwork. So I'm looking up exactly what it is. Chris Lauto created this poster. So it's good stuff. I love it. And yes, thank you. Tanya did it right before I was able to look it up on my own. So check it out. It's fun. It's going to be a thing. All right. It is 3:30, so it is time for D&D Rewind. So this is our video edited from clips from the previous week of content shown here on the Dungeons & Dragons Twitch channel. We like to highlight different groups, get like the best kind of role-playing moments. They can be happy, they can be sad, they can be, super funny, they can be really disgusting. It's just whatever we feel is like one of the best, greatest moments. And you can nominate clips for D&D Rewind from the community. The best way to do that is to make a clip on Twitch using the Twitch interface, and then share that out, tweet it out, get it, usually a good frame of reference is to tag in the people who are in the clip, and they might be inclined to share it to their followers and get more people visible eyeballs on that clip, and it will just raise up in the ranks and get more people excited about it. But we are going to show off what that video put together by Steve Sprinkles is all about for this last week of Dungeons & Dragons. So check out this week's D&D Rewind right now.
Yeah, well, when vengeance has good reason, it's just called justice. So, if it comes down to it, I'll support you.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I mean, I don't want to, killer or anything. That would be awful.
Oh,
but
no,
like,
that's I don't even know if that's possible. I don't know.
Of course, I definitely wasn't thinking that would be a thing we would do. No.
I kind of assumed it was on the table at least.
Oh, no, I was being sarcastic.
Oh, okay, all right.
Lackey.
That's a good word.
Yeah, lackey. Yeah, exactly. Sucker, as it turns out. He is a 4th level inquisitive rogue, and yeah, he's just trying to get through this without getting fired.
Are we getting fired? I don't know.
Hopefully.
Who knows?
Maybe out of a cannon into a wall.
We ended on a fairly large cliffhanger.
No kidding.
Apparently, we lied to all those people.
An insight check. Oh, that's a 5. But Shelly's got a really high modifier. I would say like
My modifier is 16.
Wait, I get to roll for her? That's kind of godly.
Oh, well, you were in within arm's reach for sure. Well, you are Lolth, so that makes perfect sense.
Many arms. Greg Tito just said, "I am Lolth." That's it.
It's canon.
Yep.
It is canon.
It is canon.
For a second, you think that Sybil has like a profound scar on the back of her head that takes up most of the back of her head. But do you see it pulsate? Do you see it move? Do you see something that looks wet? Is that an eye? Does that look at you? You're not quite sure.
Yeah, I'm still. So that storyline stresses me out so much.
I know.
It stresses me out so much.
It's so good.
Do either of you have moments where you do that, where you create some you try to RP something about your character's backstory at the table and then immediately regret it? Like, wait a minute, actually, did I just give I gave my DM something I shouldn't have. Like,
oh God, yeah. I mean, anytime we say anything.
Would the real Dingle please stand up? Oh wait, that's me. You act like you've never seen a Cybernephilin before, filled with such a core dapper to the core, versed in laws and arcane roar, not with a roar, but in suits you would adore, only if you could afford them, that is. I hear you expecting a grunt and a growl, a stutteral yell, or a smell that's just plain foul, a vocab that's weak as my roots may be oblique, but I don't seek prestige, I am off the leash. Surprised I'm so on top of you, because I go hard and far for the guilds in Ravnica. What? Too unexpected that I wrecked your necks with deception checks and bloody flecks across my longsword? Ooh, what an unexpected twist that this lyricist cut your head off with a flick of his wrist. So I'm underestimated. But you have guesstimated with an intelligence of 8 that they underrate and decide the fate of a deep gnome, grown and classed with deep bones that aren't brittle and break like some audacious rake who's unknown. Why? Well, step back a couple lines, you understand just fine, and cross the boss for the last time. I'm the real Dingle, yes, I'm the real Dingle, and if you're not a Dingle, I don't want to mingle, so will Fobbington Dingle please stand?
Waffles lets out a terrible howl. Like a howl you haven't heard her give before. One that conveys a sense of terror and emergency.
Emergency?
Oh, I can't imagine this. Can you do the noise?
Oh my God.
Really?
That's a good question.
Great stuff. Oh my gosh. I didn't get a chance to actually listen to any of that, but it sounded amazing. I mean, no, it looked amazing. I need to work on somehow getting the audio for that as I'm playing it, because it is strange and maybe it would interact too much with the microphones and the other things going on here. But I need to get some earbuds and watch that all in real time with you guys. So I'm watching the reactions happen, and that's almost more fun to a certain extent. So yeah, great stuff. Again, if you are interested in highlighting a clip from your favorite show here on the Dungeons and Dragons channel, make a clip and show it out there and get it known amongst all the people. You can send it to me at Greg Tito, as well as any of the creators who are involved in that clip. I'm sure they would love the chance to highlight it and amplify that voice and get their clip up in there. So make it happen. Some fun things happening in the Adventurers League. So the Adventurers League is a D&D's official play campaign, which means you can create an AL character and take them to your friendly local game store, conventions, charity events, even your own home, anywhere that an Adventurers League game is being played, and immediately get placed into a group that makes sense for that character. One thing we wanted to highlight about Adventurers League is CCC, or community created content. Their adventures are that are one way for you to create content for the Adventurers League while also supporting your local AL conventions and events. Admins for the Adventurers League are making some updates to how that process works, and the request form from March 31st will be the last day for you to submit requests for 2019 events. The form will reopen in May, but just want to give you guys a warning. If you wanted to get something in, now is the time to do it. Get it in before the 31st, and then we will bring that back open in May as they rejigger some of the way in the process that is all done. So if you're thinking about getting an event together, you're going to create some community content for a local convention, now is the chance to get that request in. And if you are interested in learning on how to write for Adventurers League in general, like how to create adventures, how to do that whole thing, there was a spotlighted topic about this in the recent Adventurers Wanted. So Adventurers Wanted is a wonderful show you should be checking out. It's I think it's once a month on Friday mornings at 11 a.m. Lisa Chen is the host, as well as wonderful guests that come in and talk about all the things, including, I believe Greg Marsh was on last time as well. And he is a content creator that has been working with the Adventurers League for a long, long time and is one of the admins. So check out that topic from the most recent Adventurers Wanted episode if you can. That's on the YouTube page, so that's where you can find it. And now I'm saying there might be some, was there actually some, yeah, here we go. So, as part of highlighting some of the fun Adventurers League events that are happening around the world, we have been collecting photos of events from all kinds of areas, and this one is no different. This is from Gamers Trove, a gaming store in, you're not going to believe this, San Fernando, Trinidad and Tobago. They have been running, or as they say in their own words, we have been running D&D Adventurers League since May 2018. Some of these have pictures of us running games from Season 1, 2, and Waterdeep Dragon Heist. Look at that. All that amazing fun happening. I can't believe that there are so many folks. Oh, look at that map of Faerun over there enjoying D&D Adventurers League play. Looks awesome. I kind of like that the blue aesthetic going on, and it matches the maps and the stuff there too. Great. I love all that. If you are excited to, Lights MKA was born in Trinidad. Welcome. Very exciting. If you are interested in having your Adventurers League group highlighted here on D&D News, send in photos with a little blurb to community@dndadventurersleague.org and write up a quick group shout out and something about your local game store, the state or country where you are from, and whatever information you think might be fun to share. Yeah, we'll get it up here on D&D News. So that's awesome. Yeah. Cool stuff. Now let's move on to talking about Dungeon Masters Guild. DungeonMastersGuild.com lets you publish your D&D 5th edition creations for fun and some profit. It's the only platform where you can publish adventures and supplements within the Forgotten Realms, Ravenloft, Ravnica, and a whole bunch of others. Well, not a whole bunch. Other Wizards IP. And there's some fun stuff in here. So if you're interested in publishing your own D&D creations on DM's Guild, then you might be interested in the current Bundle of Many Things Creator Kit. It includes maps, art, cover templates, paper textures, and more to spruce out the layouts for all of the creations that you have been doing here at the, and I'll give you a picture here of the cover, the Bundle of Many Things for creators. And there's also, in the fact that we're speaking about content that is both informative and beautifully designed, check out Sir Alkenes' Guide to Surviving the Apocalypse. I love that artwork. Very cool looking. It is written by Anne Gregerson, and this guidebook with monsters, player races, classes, backgrounds, and apocalyptic scenarios, of course, holds everything you need to threaten the very structure of your D&D world. Some of the reviewers have said, Much like everything ce Anne makes, surviving the apocalypse is a must-have for dungeon masters. Campaign feeling stale? Give him an endless horde of undead! One player loves sci-fi, but you don't want to give up on fantasy? Anne has got you covered with alien and machine invasions. Struggling to find a challenge for those 20th level PCs? A literal rapture has been made for you and is available in that book. Great pitch right there. That's a really good review. And now I want to do it. I want to do all the fun stuff with that book. I think the idea of an apocalypse is a very important part of Dungeons and Dragons in general. If you think about all of the fantasy tropes and archetypes that are out there, almost all of them have to do with a civilization that was on the rise. Everything was great. They had all kinds of magic items. Magic might have been a substitute for technology. And then everything crumbled. The apocalypse happened. That civilization fell into dust. And now adventurers are experiencing, kind of a resurgence. Things are happening, but the remnants of, and I don't know why I'm using my hand so much, but the remnants of that civilization that came before, that amazing Atlantis-like civilization, can be found in dungeons or ruins full of magic items, the making of which, the lore that involved the making of which has been lost for many, many years. So I like that now. With this supplement, and as well as many others out there, you might actually be there for the apocalypse. Not the before, not the after, but the during, and what stories can be told during that fall, I think are pretty dang interesting. And I'd love to almost have like a 3-part campaign where one is the before, everything's happy and go-lucky, and there's maybe some political intrigue and things happening about what cataclysm is going to befall that area. A different campaign set during the apocalypse, dealing with the here and the now and the dangers of whatever is happening, and then one afterwards. I just love that, 3-part story. It's made for you. Go run with it. Use this book. Make it happen, people. It's good stuff. All right, so that is everything that's happening with Dungeon Masters Guild. I can't believe I made it this far in D&D news without talking about Ghosts of Salt Marsh is dropping on May 21st into the ocean. It's going directly into the ocean. It is a new book coming from Dungeons & Dragons, all about seafaring campaigns, and it takes players from level 1 to level 12 with tons of adventures in there, some of which are based on the U series of adventures created by the UK office of TSR back in the early 80s, some pulled from the pages of Dungeon or Dragon magazine, but it's got a fully fleshed out town of Salt Marsh that you can use, filled with adventure hooks, NPCs, and the like, as well as a chapter or an appendix, actually, called of Ships and the Sea, with more detailed rules about how to run a seafaring campaign and your ship, and the piloting of that in the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition framework. Coming out May 21st, there's so much in there, I can't even begin to go over it all, but what's really cool, and I'll put these up again, there's 2 covers that you can find out there. One is the standard cover on the left there, Ghosts of Salt Marsh. It's got the Kraken attacking a big ship in the background with the Sahuagin attacking the small ship in the front. That is going to be available everywhere on May 21st. You can get that everywhere you buy Dungeons & Dragons products, whether it's online, at an online retailer, at your local game store, on D&D Beyond, Fantasy Grounds, Roll20. That's the cover that will be shipping with all of that. But the other cover, that snarling Sahuagin in blue with the Ghost of Salt Marsh out there, that cover is available only in game stores. You can only get that in your local game store. So go check out, go to your brick and mortar store that's in your town or the town over, and if you can, pre-order that copy. If not, get there on May 21st and get the nice soft touch metallic-y shiny cover with that artwork by NC Winters of the snarling Sahuagin. It's the only way to do it. It's pretty fun. Again, you can look for that on May 21st. WizKids, our friends there, has the Falling Star ship miniature, which is perfect for using stuff about that. About the seafaring campaigns that we're going to be highlighting there for Ghosts of Salt Marsh. So check that ship out if you can. Perfectly timed for using all that fun stuff. Our friends at Beetle and Grimm's are making a Sinister Silver Edition for Ghosts of Saltmarsh. That will include 12 in-world documents and letters, battle maps, a large area map, 30 plus encounter cards, 2 physical in-world jewelry items by Han Cholo, and a custom DM screen, 12 bonus encounters and characters. You can pick that all up for $175. It's available now on beetleandgrims.com. Check it out if you can. I like it. I like it a lot. I'm liking all the ship emotes and imagery that are in there is pretty awesome. Speaking of Han Cholo, I wanted to show off these pins that are available from Han Cholo, I believe right now. They are awesome. They've got kind of a green motif going on, which are fantastic. This one's a mimic, which with green rather than the purple imagery that you normally see for a mimic. This one's got it's a little bit upside down. There you go. There's the ampersand there on the D20. And again, these are pins, dual posts in the back. You can get those at Han Cholo. And then, of course, going with the green, you've got this amazing green devil mask that if you wear this, it will be a clue that you are the coolest Frood that ever lived. And I want to give a shout out to my friend Devin Rue. She created some of the amazing artwork out there, but then she also is a fond of some of the physical artifacts that I am also fond of. So she created this is a paperweight, but it can be used for any type of things in your D&D campaign, perhaps as a inspiration token or a compass, or just kind of a nice kind of thing. It's got like a kind of a line drawing thing in the back. Very good stuff. Oh, no way, really? I see that Lee from Dan Cakes, Lee Goldberg, says that this was the first pancake you ever made was really this mask in the artwork there. That's awesome. I didn't know that. That's super cool. First D&D pancake, that is. Ah, I see it. Now I'm picking up what you're putting down. And then, of course, there is the... I want to make sure I get the sextant, which I just think is a great, fun word to say. This sextant is really great. I will be using this to hold down the map that I got from the Platinum Edition of Waterdeep Dragon Heist from Beetle and Grimm's. Here's the telescope artwork. Here is the Astrolabe. Also fun stuff there. And of course the compass, which I think are awesome. If you like the type of physical items that you get with all kinds of Dungeons & Dragons stuff, I would suggest checking them out. She is a fantastic cartographer as well as an artisan. Ooh, that's a good word that Genghis Galahad used there in there. Definitely, she's an artisan. I want to show this off too because I just really like it. This is a Dragon Spear, Siege of Dragon Spear symbol coin that was created by the amazing team at Beamdog, but it's a nice kind of heavy coin, one of my favorites. This is at my desk and I use it quite often. And some of you might recognize that symbol. What is that symbol? Bum bum bum. The symbol of Baal. Good stuff. It does look like a challenge coin, doesn't it? And then one other fun thing I wanted to show, I didn't get to mention this quite yet, so I will now. The Rick and Morty versus Dungeons & Dragons comic book series is good stuff. Everyone can say it's out there. It's good for all kinds of fun things. There was an omnibus version, which I've been highlighting here on D&D News many, many times. This, I want to make sure everyone was aware, is the Director's Cut Edition. What does that mean, a Director's Cut Edition? Well, I'll tell you. It's got sketches. It's got, kind of black and white before there was colors. It's got commentary from the writers. Here's one that looks a little bit more like in sketch form. I'm trying to angle it in a way so that you can kind of see the imagery. And then it's got, like I said, some commentary about how the scripts were made here in the back, as well as some great artwork. Here's some character sketches by the artist Troy Little for this series. And I don't know if you've ever seen this. as a fan or not of comic books, but comic book scripts are written like this. And so when Jim Zub and Patrick Rothfuss were writing the script, this is how they turned it in to Troy Little, the artist. And then he, I gotta angle it this way. I'm sorry that it's a little bit hard to read, perhaps. But you gotta angle it that way. You gotta write it that way, and then Troy Little, the artist, translates that script into what you see on the page, which is really fascinating to me. It's basically like a screenplay in that way. So pick this up wherever you can buy comic books. Again, it's called the Director's Cut Edition, and for now, there's only issue number 1 for that Director's Cut Edition. So if you're interested in how the sausage is made, that's a good place to start. I don't think they actually make sausage in the storyline of this, but you know, you can still kind of see it. All right. One thing I do want to highlight for folks, since I was talking about Jim Zub, who is an amazing person, he is creating 4 books with our friends at 10 Speed Press. They are called Dungeons & Dragons Young Adventurers Guides, and there are going to be 4 of them, 2 of them coming out this summer on July 16th, Monsters and Creatures, Warriors and Weapons, and 2 others later on this fall, Dungeons and Tombs, Wizards and Spells. And the whole point of these books is to get younger readers, readers from 8 to 12, the ability and these concepts and kind of the lore behind Dungeons and Dragons into their hands earlier, right? It can be hard as a kid to parse through the Player's Handbook, although I know there are definitely kids out there who can do it. But here's a way that you can get it. There's tons of new artwork, newly commissioned artwork for those books that we think will bring the idea of playing Dungeons & Dragons to life. So check those out. We did a podcast interview with Jim Zub. We covered extensively all about that, as well as his work in the Rick and Morty series. He's got a lot of other fun projects happening with Dungeons & Dragons very soon, which we can't wait to let you guys know all about. One final thing I do want to say. This is a carrion crawler. It's available from WizKids, Nolzur's Marvelous Miniatures. These are the paintable lines, or the unpainted line. They come what's that called? Pre-primed for you to be able to paint on them. They've got bigger grooves to accept a little bit more detail on it. So, and of course you get to see exactly what you're going to buy with these miniatures. So check them out. The Carrion Crawler is definitely one that I know people were looking for. There's Goliath Fighter. There's actually tons of different ones. What I like about the characters here is that, as you can tell, the top one is a more detailed and or more richly equipped fighter. You might think it's a higher level fighter, and then the one underneath it is a little bit more lower level, so you can kind of grow up with your character a little bit and paint both versions of it and feel like you have a progression there, which I think is really cool. Or you just can have 2 different looks of the same character, and they do call out the race and class on all of the humanoid character type miniatures out there. So if you're interested, you want to jump into painting miniatures, you could do a lot worse than picking that up. All right. Well, I think that's everything that I wanted to go through here. I did have one more blind box of miniatures that I'm going to quickly open, because I just like opening them up and seeing what we get. And this line of miniatures from WizKids is out there now. I've heard a lot of chatter on the D&D community on Twitter and Facebook about how awesome these miniature line is for the Dungeon of the Mad Mage line. Look for these in your stores. You get 4 miniatures out of each one of these boxes, and I'm gonna see what we get in this one so you guys can see what it's like. Whoa! All right, that's a big one. Let's start. Usually I start smaller to big, but this guy demands to be talked about. This is a Goristro. Whoa, that is super big. Look how tall that is. Trying to put it for comparison. Yes, the Goristro is almost as big as my entire mug. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Ooh, good stuff. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty heavy. It must be like half a pound because of all of the plastic in there. Very cool. If you're using, Goristro is a devil, right? Or is that a demon? I don't know. Doesn't look good, but if you're going to be using those in your campaign, you can't go wrong with that miniature. I wouldn't even say it's a miniature. It's a maxture. Demon. Yes, thank you, demon. You know, nothing wrong with having a shadow as well. This is the shadow, kind of translucent plastic there. A bigature. Yeah, that's a much better. That's a much better phrase. Ooh. I wish I had this for my D&D game last night. Here's a thug with a big old mace, meaty looking guy. I would have loved to have used him in my D&D Waterdeep campaign last night. That's the third one. And the fourth one is another thug. We got two. We got two in the same blind box. So you know what that means? Twinsies. Hey guys, we're gonna adventure with you. We're gonna have lots of fun. Oh no. Here comes the Garistro. All right, well, no more twins. Sorry about that. I guess the twins have perished. So thank you guys again for bearing with me here on D&D News. As always, it's tons of fun hanging out with you for this hour, letting you know about what's happening in the D&D world. Tons of great streaming happening here on twitch.tv/DND. Check, our Twitter, wizards_DND, for announcements of when shows are happening, things are occurring. We're also on Facebook, of course. Follow me. I'm at Greg Tito. Pester me with any questions you have about what's going on in the world of Dungeons & Dragons. But in the meantime, enjoy the episode of Dice Camera Action, Dungeon Mastered by Holly Conrad, and having the Chickenfoot Coven make their appearance again. I can't wait, and it's going to be exciting. And then pay attention to everything that's going on at PAX East this weekend for more Dice Camera Action, as well as Rivals of Waterdeep, Acquisitions Incorporated A teams, NC teams, as well as amazing panels. It's going to be tons of fun, and I'll be letting you know all about it next week on D&D News. All right, thanks everybody. Bye-bye.